I have a new favorite that is going to shock all of you guys. Hey friends, welcome back to my corner of the internet where we talk all things thrillers, mystery, and suspense. You guys, I'm so sorry. Today is June 4th. Is it the 4th? Today is June 4th, and the last video I uploaded was in April. Y'all, life be lifing sometimes, and I wasn't in the mood to pick up the camera to record, and then I said I was going to record my April reading wrap up in mid-May, and I did record it. I recorded it, y'all. I just didn't post it because I didn't like it. So today we are going to be talking about all the books that I read in April and May combined. So we're doing an April and May reading wrap up. So I've got a lot to talk about. I'm excited to talk about the books that I read in the last 2 months. So let's go. Okay, you guys, so April was a pretty good month of reading. I read 4 books, 2 physical and 2 audiobooks. So the first book that I want to talk about is No Exit by Taylor Adams. You guys, this one at first I was a little hesitant because I listened to this one on audio and the audio just wasn't giving for the first few chapters. It wasn't, I wouldn't say keeping my attention, but I'm just like, okay, what's going on? What are we doing? So it was just a little lackluster at the beginning, but I'm glad I kept going and kept listening because this was a crazy book. It was a crazy ride, and I can only imagine what the movie is like on Hulu. So during the beginning, I was like, when I was bored with it, I said, should I just stop listening to this and just go watch the movie on Hulu? But I was like, no, Kayla, read the book first, then go watch the movie. So No Exit is about this college student named Darby, and she is on her way home from college to visit her mom because her mom is dying from cancer, and she's like, they haven't had the best relationship, but she's like, I need to go see my mom. And in the midst of this, it's a huge winter blizzard, so she really doesn't get far. She stumbles upon this rest stop, and she goes in, and there's 4 other people there, and they're all, you know, kikiing, getting to know each other. And then Darby's really like, I need to tell someone where I am, and I need to tell the hospital that I'm coming, you know, all that kind of stuff. She goes outside to get some cell phone reception somewhere. She's searching, and she stumbles upon a little girl in an animal crate in somebody's car. She doesn't know whose car it is. There's 4 other people in the rest area, but she doesn't know whose car it is. She doesn't know who is the kidnapper, and she's like, wait, did I really just see a little girl in this car in like a dog crate? So she's going into like fight or flight mode. She's like, I'm gonna get you out of here. The little girl's name is Jay. She's like, I'm gonna get you out of here. So she goes back into the rest stop, and she's trying to like feel everybody out, but she doesn't know. Everyone is a suspect at this point, but then Darby ends up trusting one person, and she shouldn't have trusted that person. Those people are connected, and it is a whirlwind. It's so many emotions. My anxiety was on 10 trying to figure out, okay, who did this? And then when we figure out who did it, why did they do this? Like when you come to the end of the book and you're like, wait, what? Like all of this just happened? It's a crazy ride, you guys. I don't want to say much more because it really can spoil it and it's going to give it away. But this is a fight or flight kind of book, and she's like, I'm fighting everybody in here to save this little girl. And it is just, it's a lot going on in this book, you guys. And at first, when I was listening to it, I was like, this is gonna be like 2.5, 3 stars, but it ended up being a 4-star book. It's just those first few chapters, I guess they had to build, you know, the plot, but it was a little boring at the beginning. But you guys, No Exit by Taylor Adams, definitely, if you're into like action thrillers, then you definitely need to check out No Exit by Taylor Adams because it was a wild ride. It was a wild book, and for all my people who like realistic books, and I can definitely see this happening in real life. Like I'm pretty sure this does happen in real life, but definitely go check that one out. Guys, the second book that I want to talk about is The Teacher by Freida McFadden. And y'all, this book, let me buckle in, prepare for this crazy. If you want a crazy book, honestly, like I've said this 50 million times, Freida McFadden's books are just, if you want something juicy and unrealistic and just a good little popcorn thriller, then definitely check out Freida McFadden books. I'm not going to give the synopsis in my own words because it's a lot, and there's a lot to spoil, and I feel like if I say it in my own words that I'm going to spoil it, so I'm just going to read you the synopsis. Lesson number 1, trust no one. Eve has a good life. She wakes up every day, kisses her husband Nate, and heads off to teach math at the local high school. All is as it should be, except last year, Kasem High was rocked by a scandal involving a student-teacher affair with one student, Addie, at its center. But Eve knows there is far more to these ugly rumors than meets the eye. Addie can't be trusted. She lies, she hurts people, she destroys lives. At least that's what everyone says. But nobody knows the real Addie. Nobody knows the secrets that could destroy her, and Addie will do anything to keep it quiet. You guys, the teacher was so juicy. Check the trigger warnings if if you're sensitive to some things, but the teacher is being told through two point of views at first. So the first point of view is Addie, the student at Kasem High School, and then Eve Bennett, the teacher, the math teacher at Kasem High. So within the first half of the book, the point of view is told through Eve and Addie. And Addie is a loner this year because of the scandal that happened the last school year. So Addie is basically being bullied by this one student. She lost her only friend, Hudson, and she's just alone, and she hates going to school. She begs her mom every day that she doesn't have to go to school, and then she has all the teachers that hate her on top of that. Well, not all of them, but Eve definitely hates her. I don't like you. You got my friend fired last year, and she just kind of makes her life terrible. She makes her life terrible at school. She has kids that are mean to her. She has the teachers that are mean to her. And then Mr. Bennett, Eve Bennett's husband, Nate, is Addie's English teacher, and Addie loves English, and she loves Mr. Bennett, and it's just, we're like, is this gonna happen again? Is there gonna be another affair? Y'all just read the book. It's a crazy, twisted book. There's so many twists and turns. And like I said, I don't want to go into too much more detail because this book gets crazy and it can get spoiled very easily. But let me know what you think about The Teacher and if you've read it. Y'all are probably like, does this girl wear anything other than braids? Listen, the month that I was always work. Anyways, so what was I saying? Oh, y'all probably think that all I ever do is wear braids. But listen, y'all. The month and a half that I was off of YouTube, I had my hair out, but then my birthday is in May. Well, my birthday's in May, so I was in Colombia, so I had to, Black girls on vacation, one thing we're gonna do was wear some braids. So I got braids, but these are coming out soon. But yes, I turned 29 in Colombia. My birthday's May 30th, and y'all, I am getting old, but I thank God for letting me get old because a lot of people don't make it. So yes, so that's why these are not the same braids that I had in the other videos, even though they look like it, because boy, a time was had in Colombia. But yeah, anyways, I just wanted to give that little disclaimer, just letting you know that these aren't the same braids, but even if they were, it's my head. So yeah, let's get back into the books. Okay, so the next book I want to talk about is, you guys, you've seen it all over my page already. I think I've talked about it 2 or 3 times, but I finished this in early April, and it is Lock Every Door by Riley Sager. And y'all know I read The Only One Left. Then I read, what was that book with the girl? She's an alcoholic. Casey, where is it? The House Across the Lake. That one was good as well. And so then I ended up reading Lock Every Door. That's my latest Riley Sager book. And you guys, I really did enjoy it. This book, if I didn't say The Teacher, I gave The Teacher 4 stars. If I didn't talk about No Exit, I gave No Exit 4 stars. So yes, this one gets 4 stars from me. I think I mentioned this in another video where I was like, this is probably going to be 5-star material. But then I was like, as I was reading it, I'm like, all right, it's not 5-star, but it's definitely still good, and I definitely will recommend it. But anyways, talking too much. Here's what the book is about. Lock Every Door is about Jules Larson, and Jules she's just down on her luck. Her and her boyfriend just broke up. She really doesn't have any money. She's sleeping on her best friend's couch, and then she finally stumbles upon this newspaper ad that's looking for apartment sitters in the Bartholomew, and it is a huge, like, crazy historic building in New York City. And she's like, oh my gosh, this is an opportunity of a lifetime. It's a 3-month contract, and she's gonna get paid like $5,000 at the end of each month in cash. She's like, yes, this is what I want to do. This is a thriller book, so it's not always as good as it seems, and something is going to happen and it's just gonna be crazy. So there are some rules with Jules living in the Bartholomew, and it is basically, she can't stay anywhere overnight. She can't have any visitors. She's basically confined to her room and the building. That's it. She's like, all right, well, this is crazy, but let me make this money, and dip on him, okay? So she ends up becoming friends with another apartment sitter, Jessie, and her and Jessie end up hanging outside at Central Park. And you know, Jessie's like, okay, same time tomorrow. And tomorrow never came for Jessie. And Jules is looking everywhere for Jessie the next day. She's like, I mean, she missed lunch. I mean, I know we just met yesterday, but she was adamant that we should do this every day and that they should hang out. And Jessie's gone. Jessie, is her name Jessie? I'm just saying Jessie, and let me look. I don't know. I couldn't find it skimming through, but I'm pretty sure her name is Jessie. If not, I'll put it up here. You guys, she's gone. Nowhere to be found. And Jules is asking everybody. She's asking the other apartment sitter. She's asking the apartment manager. And the manager's like, oh yeah, she left in the middle of the night. And Jules was like, no. I don't know why she would have done that. And she didn't even tell me. So this is where the mystery starts. Jules is trying to find out what happened to Jessie. Why is this building so weird? Like, it's just giving weird vibes in this building. And y'all, the twists and the turns are actually really terrifying, because this could happen. The stuff that's happening in this book can happen in real life. And I was just like, oh, like, this could really happen. Like, the history behind the building, the stuff that's going on inside the building. I'm just like, OMG. It was a great book. It wasn't scary at all. I don't know why I thought this one was going to be scary, but definitely check it out. Jules is on a mission to find Jessie and to find out what's really going on with this building, and it's a great book. I gave this one 4 stars, and it's just I'm really a Riley Sager fan now. Like, he's coming to Houston in the next few days, so I'm gonna see if I can go and see him at Murder by the Books. It's a local bookstore in Houston that sells strictly like just thriller and horror books. So I'm excited. Hopefully if I go see him, I'll vlog that experience. But yeah, Lock Every Door, definitely recommend. Okay, so the last book that I read in April was The Vacancy in Room 10 by Serafina Nova Glass. That name is just so regal. Like, I love it. I don't know if that's her real name or her pen name, but I'm here for it. Serafina. Well, if once I get a cat, I'm gonna name her Serafina. Like, it's so cute to me. But anyways, The Vacancy in Room 10 is about 2 women, Anna and Cass. So the book starts off with Anna speaking to her husband, Henry, and he calls her and he's in a panic. He's like, oh my gosh, I have to confess something to you. I did something bad. And she's like, what in the world are you talking about? And then we hear a gunshot, and this is all in the first line of the synopsis. We hear a gunshot, and she doesn't know if Henry killed someone or if someone killed Henry. And then, sadly, his body ends up washing along shore, and Anna is just like distraught. And so she, to get answers, because she doesn't know what's going on, his confession didn't make sense. She feels like she's left in the dark. So she moves into his art studio at the Sycamores Hotel, where Cass, our other main character, she is the apartment manager there. And so Anna moves into Henry's art studio to kind of put the pieces together and figure out what happened to her husband. What was he talking about on the phone before the accident, before he turned up dead? And she's like, I gotta figure it out. So the Sycamores is your picturesque, like, cheap motel where not the best type of people are there. And, you know, it's just an eclectic mix of people that are at the Sycamores Hotel. And she's moving into his apartment, trying to figure out what happened. And everyone there kind of has their own secrets, and Anna and Cass don't necessarily get along that well, because Cass is like, that ain't none of my business, you know, that's just none of my business. So there are so many things going on in this book where I was like, how are these 2 stories going to come together and, like, blow my mind? It sure did. So I love a good story where there are 2 totally different characters, like Anna and Cass, who their lives have nothing to do with each other, it seems. But then when you're going through the book, you're like, oh my gosh, like, this is wild. So that was me the whole time. Like, how are these 2 stories going to come together? Like, I love when I'm thinking that in a book, like, I can't put the pieces together. I can't put the puzzle pieces together to figure out how these 2 women's lives are going to intertwine. And you guys, it's just a crazy book full of secrets. It's like, how well do you really know your significant other? How well do you know the people around you? And how far are you going to go to keep a secret? And it is, it's a juicy, juicy book. And I definitely really liked it. I think this is probably my favorite book that I've read in April out of the other 3. But April definitely was a good reading month. The Vacancy in Room 10, great book that I read. I enjoyed all of the books. So yeah, I think The Vacancy in Room 10 is probably going to be my favorite, and then Lock Every Door, then The Teacher, and then No Exit. But definitely check all four of those out. Let me know, have you read any of those books, or are they on your TBR list? So yeah, let me know down below. Okay, you guys, so now we are heading into May and what I read and listened to in May. You guys, I listened to 4 audiobooks on Everand in May. I'm going back through it. I'm like, dang. I was in my car a lot in May because I was riding around showing these houses. But y'all, I didn't realize I listened to 4 audiobooks in May. That's wild. Usually it's only like 2 because, you know, audiobooks are very long and I listen to them on 1 speed. I don't listen to 1.5, 2 because y'all are going too fast. So audiobooks are typically like 9 to 12 hours. So I listened to 4 of them. I can't believe it. But anyways, May was a fairly good reading month. I have a new favorite that is going to shock all of you guys. So let's get into our May reads. Okay guys, so for May, I'm going to start off with my least favorite books and work my way up to my favorite books. My least favorite book of May was A Quiet Retreat by Kirsten Maudlin. You're going to see it up here. But is it Kirsten or Kirsten? Because it's like Kirsten Dunst or Kirsten Dunst. I can never remember, so I apologize, homegirl. But A Quiet Retreat was just, I gave this book 2 stars. I listened to this on audio. It was literally only 4 hours. I've never listened to an audiobook this short, so it got straight to the point. But this book made absolutely no sense to me. Like, it had all the elements that I liked. Like, it reminded me of A Writing Retreat, and I did like that book, but it wasn't giving. And it had dual POVs. So our main character, who's the main character? Our main character, Blakely, her point of view is in the present, and then we have Lessa, who is our past point of view. And me waiting for these stories to come together, I was like, oh, okay. Like, it didn't hit. It just didn't land well for me. I didn't really enjoy it. So I'm going to read you the synopsis on this one. You are cordially invited to visit the new Black Hills Manor writing retreat. That's how it all begins, with a simple invitation. For 5 authors, it's meant to be the start of a restful week filled with free food, drinks, and like-minded company. But shortly after their arrival, things take an unsettling turn. Broken property, missing items, and strange noises are just some of the odd occurrences that have each member questioning their companions. As suspicions mount, the authors are pitted against each other. Whom can they trust in a house full of strangers? Y'all, this book just, I don't know, it was just whack. It wasn't good. I've seen so many of her books on Everand because she has like 50 million books, so I will give another book a try. I think it's The Arrangement. That's like one of her most popular ones, but this just didn't do it for me. If I had to choose between A Quiet Retreat and The Writing Retreat, I'm picking The Writing Retreat because I feel like that was a better book than this one. So have you read this book before? If you have, let me know. If you've read any other Kirsten Maudlin books, let me know down below and I'll try and check out another one. The next book on my list, I gave 3 stars, and surprisingly, I thought I was going to love this book, especially the way it started. Like, I was eating it up when it first started, but this book is Do Not Disturb by Freida McFadden, and y'all, my phone, I need to put my phone down, but this book started off so strong, and then when we got to like page 100, it just kind of went down a slope, and I'm like, I didn't enjoy it. Let me know. This is probably one of my least favorite Freida McFadden books so far. I pretty much loved a lot of her books, but this one's definitely like, yeah, I gave this 3 stars, and I don't recommend. I'm still giving it 3 instead of 2 because, you know, Freida will hit you with the twists and turns to make you have whiplash, but this wasn't it. It wasn't my favorite. So Quinn Alexander has committed an unthinkable crime. To avoid spending her life in prison, Quinn makes a run for it. She leaves behind her home, her job, and her family. She grabs her passport and heads for the northern border before the police can discover what she's done. But when an unexpected snowstorm forces her off the road, Quinn must take refuge at the broken-down, isolated Baxter Motel. The handsome and kindly owner, Nick Baxter, is only too happy to offer her a cheap room for the night. Unfortunately, the Baxter Motel isn't the quiet, safe haven it seemed to be. The motel has a dark and disturbing past, and in the dilapidated house across the way, the silhouette of Nick's ailing wife is always at the window. always watching. In the morning, Quinn must leave the hotel. She'll pack up her belongings and get back on the road to freedom. But she must first survive the night. So when I read that, I was like, ooh, this is juicy. This is like, what's tea? What's going on in the book? And it started off so good. Like I said, we were following Quinn. The book starts off with the police at her door because they ended up, a neighbor called because they thought they heard screaming in the house, and the police ended up at her door. She was like, oh no, I was just watching a movie. I was watching Scream. And the police are idiots. I'm like, okay, enjoy your movie. And then after that, Quinn dips and she takes off. She's trying to make it to Canada. And unfortunately, like I said, there's a snowstorm and she ends up having to stay at the Bates Motel. What? The Baxter Motel. And the story from there just takes off in like 3 different directions. And I was just like, it's like, you're killing me. You're killing me with all of this point of views. I'm a person that loves point of views, but the way the book started, it did not set us up for these point of views, in my opinion. Or I guess it did, but just, I don't know. I didn't enjoy it, but let me know if you read or liked this book. It was all right. Would I recommend? No. If I'm recommending a Freida McFadden book, it's always going to be Never Lie. Not this one. Okay, so the next book on my list is On a Quiet Street by Serafina Nova Glass. Yes, so after I finished Vacancy in Room 10, I immediately went back through her backlist and I was like, oh, this seems like it's going to be juicy. So On a Quiet Street, I gave this one 3.5 stars because it was good, but it wasn't bad, but it wasn't like memorable. So On a Quiet Street is about 3 women, Paige, whose son was involved in a hit-and-run accident a year prior. Then you have Cora, who thinks her husband is cheating on her. And then you have Georgia, who has just moved from England to the United States, and she's trying to, get adjusted to her life here in America versus England. And these 3 women's lives they intertwine somehow, and everyone has secrets, and everyone is hiding things, and we're trying to figure out what's really going on in this neighborhood, and is it really like the picture perfect neighborhood that people really think it is? You never know what's going on behind closed doors, and that's the aspect I love of it. It reminded me of Behind Closed Doors by B.A. Paris. Like, there's one piece of that reminded me of that book, and then it was just, I feel like it was a lot of unnecessary chapters in this book. I feel like this book could have been 50 pages less. But, I mean, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't the best book ever. But, I mean, if you like rich people drama and multiple POVs and, just crazy things happening with secrets that have, like, how do these secrets come together and these women's lives, how do they intertwine with each other, then you should read this book. It wasn't my favorite, but it was all right, Okay, friends, so the month of May was definitely a month of 3 and 3.5 star books. But I was a little disappointed in this one because it's my girl Alice Feeney, and it is His and Hers by Alice Feeney. If you know, Alice Feeney is my favorite author. I felt like she could do no wrong until this book. But not too much on my girl, because I still love her. It's still one of my favorite authors. And this book wasn't terrible. It got 3.5 stars from me, but it's my least favorite out of all of her books. So, when a woman is murdered and blacked down, newsreader Anna Andrews is reluctant to cover the case. Detective Jack Harper is suspicious of her involvement until he becomes a suspect in his own murder investigation. There are 2 sides to every story: yours and mine, ours and theirs, his and hers, which means someone is always lying. That just sounds so juicy. But this was not the first time I picked up this book. I picked up this book a couple of months ago, and it got to like the first 30 pages, and I was like, all right, maybe do I not like it, or am I just not in the mood to read this? So I finally picked this one back up. I started it a few days before I went to Colombia. And one thing about me, if I bring a book on the airplane, I almost can finish the book on the plane. Like, uninterrupted time on a plane to read, I will eat it up and I will finish the book. But this one, I don't know. I think it's the characters. I didn't like Anna. I didn't like Jack. I did not like the characters. But I still, the whole time, still trying to figure out what was going on. I didn't guess who the murderer was. I kept going back and forth the whole time. Like, okay, is it this person? Is it that person? Well, then they would throw something at you like, okay, maybe it is this person. So it definitely still kept me on my toes. And the twists and turns did come. Like, it's an Alice Feeney book, so they're there. I don't know. this book just didn't resonate with me. I didn't really like it that much, and I'm sad to say because I love Daisy Darker. Rock Paper Scissors is my favorite book, hands down. Like, I will accept no criticism about that book at all. So, and then sometimes I lie. Like, I love Alice Feeney and her books. This one just was not it. So, I mean, everybody can have a bad day, right? A bad writing day. So, and it still wasn't bad. So I would say I'm going to do a part 2 of thriller books for beginners, because this is definitely a thriller book for beginners. I think this would definitely be good for someone wanting to get into the thriller genre. So, part 2 of thriller books for beginners pending. So, yeah, this is good for a beginner. I don't know. I didn't like it. I still gave it 3.5 stars because I did not see the twist coming, and I did not see the ending coming. I did not see the twist coming at all. So let me know. Have you read this book? Let me know if you feel the same way I do, or if this is her best book that you've read. All that good stuff. So let me know down below. This next book was supposed to be 5 stars for me, but it just something about the ending just really threw me off. But this book is Strange Sally Diamond by Liz Nugent, or Nugent. I'm pretty sure it's Nugent. But Strange Sally Diamond was such a good book up until the ending. Like, this was 5-star material, and I'm so sad about how it ended. But Strange Sally Diamond is just that, strange. The book is crazy. It's dark. It's wild. It's strange. And the book starts off with Sally's dad dying, and she put him out with the garbage, because he used to joke around and say that, when I die, just throw me outside in the trash can. And when he died, that's exactly what she did. So Sally's a little strange because of her past and her trauma, and she's kind of a recluse, and the only people that she likes is her mom and dad. But y'all, the book starts off with her putting her dad out in the trash can. Like, first she burns him first. She burns him, and then she puts him in the trash can, and then that causes like a media frenzy. And Sally's like, well, I mean, he said when he dies to throw him in the trash, and everyone around her is like, well, he didn't really mean it like that. So then after he dies, Sally finds letters from her dad, and her dad is kind of slowly going through the process of explaining like where she's from, why she's the way she is, because Sally is adopted. She was adopted by her dad and mom. Oh, it's a lot to go through this story, but it was such a crazy ride, because now we're trying to see Sally's dad died, and now she's getting all this attention. She's like, well, I didn't mean to do that. If it was, I didn't know it was bad to do that. So now Sally has to go through the world. She's 44, and she has to like relearn how to be like a normal citizen. She's getting a job. She's making new friends. But then, because of this media frenzy that she caused with throwing her dad in the trash, somebody from her past who knows far more than they should starts sending her letters and starts sending her things from her past. She can't remember what it's from, but slowly start putting the pieces together. And it is a crazy book. It's multiple point of views. It's Sally's present point of view. We're listening to a male's past point of view. And it is a wild book how these stories come together. I didn't give this book 5 stars only because of the ending. Like, we started the book with an unhinged Sally. We went through, she was evolving and changing and growing into a different person. And then at the end, it's like, whoop, it went right back to the beginning. I grew to love the Sally that we were reading about in the chapters, and then it just threw us back in. And the book is dark, the book is twisted. You need to read it, but that's the only reason why I say it's not 5 stars, is because I felt like we made so much progress, and then for us to just come back to the very beginning, and it was just, I know all books don't have happy endings, but that one hurt me. So Strange Sally Diamond, definitely need to check that book out. I know in one of my other videos, you guys have been, in my vlog, you guys were saying that you've read Strange Sally Diamond and you loved it, so I'm so glad about that. And let me know, did you like this book? Have you read this book? And if not, you definitely need to put it on your TBR. Y'all, this book, I could not stop thinking about when I was reading it, when I wasn't reading it, when I finished reading it. I could not stop thinking about this book for a few weeks. I read this book in I'm excited. My hands are going crazy. I read this book in 2 days. It really could have been one sitting. Y'all will be very surprised at this book. But it is The Fury by Alex Michaelides. I don't know. Y'all, this book caused some commotion in my comment. Not commotion, but this book was very divided. Some people were like, this was the worst book ever. And some people were like, I don't know what all the negative reviews were for, because this was a great book. Y'all, I initially gave this book 4.5 stars. And it would have been 5. It's a 5-star book. Forget all that. I gave it 4.5 initially because there was one part of the book where I was like, really? But then I got over it really quickly. Y'all, this book was so juicy. This book was so dramatic. I think I love this book because I'm one of those people, I know books are fiction and they're not supposed to be realistic. At least me. I love a good over-the-top dramatic book, and this book gave all of that. I felt like I was sitting at the bar getting the tea from the narrator. Like, the narrator was so sarcastic and I loved it. And this book was chef's kiss. This is up there with Rock, Paper, Scissors. And if you know, I love that book. Like, I love that book real bad, okay? I don't care. I don't care what anybody says. This was such a good book. Now, I do understand. I understand why some people literally, like, they hate this book. I get it. When I first was reading it, I was like, okay, I can understand why people don't like this book. But it works for me. I love this. It is so different from The Silent Patient. And I love when authors can kind of, like, when they diversify, you know, their writing. Like, I don't have to, it's kind of like Lisa Jewell. I love all her books, but it's like, I know what her books, I know what I'm getting with a Lisa Jewell book. But The Silent Patient and The Fury, these are two very different books, and I'm here for this book. So let me tell you what it's about. This is a tale of murder, or maybe that's not quite true. At its heart, it's a love story, isn't it? Lana is a reclusive ex-movie star and one of the most famous women in the world. Every year she invites her closest friends to escape the English weather and spend Easter in her idyllic private Greek island. I tell you this because you may think you know the story. You probably read about it at the time. It caused a real stir in the tabloids, if you remember. It had all the necessary ingredients for a press sensation: a celebrity, a private island cut off by the wind, and a murder. We found ourselves trapped there overnight, our old friendships concealed, hatred and desire for revenge. What followed was a game of cat and mouse, a battle of wits, full of twists and turns, building to an unforgettable climax. The night ended in violence and death. But who am I? My name is Elliot Chase, and I'm going to tell you a story unlike any you've ever heard. Y'all! This book was so good. Oh my gosh, I really enjoyed it. I ate it up. It was so dramatic. I felt like I was watching a play. This book made no sense. This book made no sense, but I loved it. This is top 5 books of 2024. I'm calling it top 5. No, top 3. This is gonna be top 3. I don't know if it's gonna be number 1. I don't know if any other book's gonna top this, but I enjoyed this book so much. I don't even want to tell you about it. I need you to read this. I need you to go read it. And then I need you to go read it and then let me know what you think. So that's another thing about BookTube. Like, I feel like I'm on here and I'm telling you guys, like, all the books that I love and all the books that I hate. And when I tell you about a book that I really love, and I think it was, I can't remember, I think it was What Lies Between Us. I'm like, this is one of the craziest books and I love it so much. And I think like 3 people, they're like, I went and read this book and I hated it. And I'm just like, well, I'm just the girl. Like, I mean, these are the books that I like, and I'm letting you in on my life and my thriller books that I love. And if you don't like them, then I'm so sorry. But if you do, that's amazing. But I mean, that's what we're here, right? We're here to tell you our opinions on books and give you the tea on books and let you know what books to stay away from, even though I'm never going to tell you not to read a book, even if I don't like it. I'm never going to tell you that because everyone is different. Clearly, I was not with the consensus on this book. Clearly, this is an unpopular opinion, and I'm here for it. I love this book. Top 3. Top 3. I'm top 3. Like, when we come back in the end in December and I'm doing a wrap of like my top 5 books of 2024, this is gonna be like number 1 or number 2. Okay, and I have a lot more books that I want to read. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. I know it was a long time coming, and I know this is probably a long video because I read quite a few books, and sometimes I don't know how to shut up. Sometimes I give too much on one book, and then another book I give like 2 seconds. So I'm trying, you guys. I'm trying. But thank you so much for watching, and we are back on a regular schedule. Okay, you're gonna be getting no more month breaks. I'm going to be back on my real estate channel as well, or my main channel, whatever you want to call it. And thank you guys. I know we could have hit 1,000 subscribers like a month and a half ago, but you know what, it's okay. People were still watching my videos, but we are almost at 1,000 subscribers. So please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know what other videos that you want to see down below, and I'm gonna incorporate more vlogs and all that good stuff. So see you guys.